Treasure Island was never designed to blend in. When it opened in the 1990s, it wasn't just another casino trying to compete on room rates or slot payouts. It was built as a piece of live theater, sitting right on Las Vegas Boulevard. Pirate ships fired cannons into the night sky. Actors staged elaborate battles on a floating lagoon. Explosions echoed across the Strip. Thousands of tourists gathered every evening just to watch it happen. The casino floor didn't even have to try to pull people in because the sidewalk show did it for them. It created momentum, and in Las Vegas, momentum is what turns curiosity into money. Back then, Treasure Island understood something that most modern casinos have forgotten. People don't come to Vegas just to gamble. They come to feel like they stepped into a different world. They come to feel entertained before they ever feel wealthy. The pirate theme wasn't childish. It was strategic. It gave the resort a personality that people remembered, talked about, and returned for. It made Treasure Island feel alive. Today, that sense of life is gone, and what remains feels strangely empty for a property sitting on some of the most valuable real estate on the Strip. Treasure Island still occupies an incredible position, surrounded by the Venetian, Palazzo, the Mirage redevelopment, the Sphere nearby, and the Fashion Show Mall funneling constant foot traffic past its doors. On paper, this should be one of the busiest casinos in Las Vegas. Instead, it often feels like a corridor people walk through on the way to somewhere more exciting. The reason is simple but uncomfortable. Treasure Island removed the one thing that made people care about it. When the pirate show was eliminated, the resort didn't just lose a free attraction, it lost its emotional anchor. It tried to grow up, to look more polished, more corporate, more modern, but in doing so, it stripped away the very thing that made it different. Vegas is not a city that rewards being tasteful, it rewards being unforgettable. Treasure Island chose forgettable. The $1.5 billion that went into building and expanding the resort didn't vanish. You can see it everywhere in the scale of the place. The casino floor is massive. The hotel towers stretch high above the Strip. The theaters, restaurants, and retail space were designed for a crowd that no longer arrives. Those wide corridors and open areas that once felt grand now feel hollow when they're only partially filled. A space built for excitement becomes unsettling when it loses its energy. That loss of energy isn't something you can fix with new carpet or a fresh logo. It's something that happens when a property no longer knows who it is. Treasure Island tried to position itself as slightly upscale, but that market already belongs to Wynn, Venetian, and Bellagio. It tried to stay affordable, but it raised prices and lost its edge. It tried to be modern, but it never committed to a bold reinvention, so it became trapped the most dangerous place in Vegas, the middle. Casino floor reflects this identity crisis perfectly. It isn't empty, but it isn't alive. The slot machines hum without excitement. The tables open and close depending on thin demand. There's no sense of momentum pulling people deeper into the room. You don't hear cheers, you don't feel anticipation, you just see people passing through, killing time before heading somewhere else. Vegas casinos are supposed to feel like stages. Treasure Island feels like a waiting room. The hotel rooms tell a similar story. They aren't terrible, they aren't luxurious, they exist in a gray zone of mediocrity that makes them easy to forget. Guests don't complain loudly, but they don't rave either. And in a city built on repeat visitors, forgettable is fatal. People come back to places that made them feel something. Treasure Island doesn't create memories anymore. Even entertainment, once the heart of the property, now feels uncertain and scattered. Shows come and go without defining the resort. There is no flagship attraction that makes someone book a trip specifically to Treasure Island. Compare that to the Sphere, Wynn Residencies, or Cosmo Nightlife, and the difference becomes obvious. Treasure Island has no gravitational pull. Ownership strategy plays a huge role in this slow decline. Phil Ruffin didn't buy Treasure Island to reinvent it, he bought it to operate it efficiently while the land underneath it grows more valuable. That means minimal investment, minimal risk, and no dramatic vision. The property is being being run like a cash flow asset, not a cultural destination. That keeps the doors open, but it guarantees stagnation, and stagnation is deadly in Las Vegas. This city constantly reinvents itself, resorts either evolve or they disappear. Treasure Island is doing neither. It's frozen in a version of Vegas that no longer exists, surrounded by new mega projects, immersive attractions, and futuristic architecture that makes it feel increasingly out of place. The North Strip is changing rapidly. The Mirage site will be transformed. The Sphere is drawing millions of visitors. Fontainebleau and Resorts World are trying to establish themselves. All of this should be helping Treasure Island. Instead, it highlights how little it contributes to the story of modern Vegas. It isn't the past. It isn't the future. It's a ghost of a once brilliant idea. The cruel irony is that Treasure Island may be more valuable as land than as a casino. Real estate now drives Vegas more than imagination. When the numbers eventually make sense, this entire pirate legacy could be erased in favor of something taller, sleeker, and more profitable. That's how icons die in corporate Vegas, not with explosions, with spreadsheets. Until that day comes, Treasure Island will continue to drift, still operating, still taking reservations, still technically alive, but no longer relevant to the city around it. Vegas doesn't destroy its legends anymore, it lets them fade until nobody notices they're gone. And Treasure Island, once loud, ridiculous, and unforgettable, is now slowly becoming invisible. And what makes this decline feel even more unsettling is that there was nothing inevitable about it. Treasure Island didn't fail because people stopped liking fun. It failed because it stopped giving people a reason to care. In a city that thrives on fantasy, removing imagination was the most expensive mistake it could make. The pirates weren't outdated, they were memorable. The explosions weren't cheesy, they were emotional anchors. They made tourists feel like they had stepped into something uniquely Vegas. Without that, the resort became just another building in a skyline full of buildings. You can see the effect in how people move through the property now. They walk faster, they don't linger, they don't stop to explore, they treat Treasure Island like a hallway instead of a destination. And in Las Vegas, hallways don't make money. Experiences do. The longer a guest stays somewhere, the more they spend. The quicker they leave, the less they give. Treasure Island used to trap people in wonder. Now it releases them in boredom.